It's probably the best setup for me personally because it's Friday. I finished work. We have a very intimate group, 12 people, more than enough to have this conversation. And tonight we're going to talk about something that is important to me. And I think it's important to everyone in the room. And I'm sure it's important to everyone outside because it's about district roles. Have you ever wondered if it's only club roles that you have before, have you ever wondered what happens and how is Toastmasters still going on? Is it just magic or are there people behind every single role that we do? The question is very important, but also the answer is a clear and 100% yes. And yes, a bunch of crazy people are actually taking care of us. Thank you, Kevin. And it's not a bunch of crazy people. The way that I look at it, Kevin, is it's a bunch of passionate people. It's a bunch of people who decide to do even more outside of their normal daily life for the community, for themselves, because it's a way to grow and to progress in everything we do at Toastmasters. So I'm not going to talk too much because I have really good speakers tonight, and I'm going to hand over to someone who first thinks that it's a bunch of crazy people that are going to take care of the district. But also, the way that I met our speaker is always with Hawaiian shirts. So honestly, Kevin, I'm looking forward to the day when I can't recognize you because I don't see the shirt and or the hat. So, without further ado, I'm very excited to invite Kevin to tell us something about maybe his experience or maybe he has something else to share. What would you like to tell us, Kevin?
Awesome introduction. Thank you very, very much. Alrighty. Maybe I'm here under false pretenses, but what I'm here about is to maybe inspire people towards leadership. And as we do come together today, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we each are gathered. This is an online space, which means we are meeting across many lands, stories, and ancient lines of wisdom. And I'm joining you today from Sale, out in Gippsland on Gunai Kurnai country, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. I acknowledge the deep history of learning, storytelling, and community that has taken place across these lands for tens of thousands of years. And in the spirit of Gunai Kurnai wisdom, Dana Wangan, whoever speaks will be heard. May our time together be shaped by respect, courage, listening, and shared understanding. Okay, why does Toastmasters exist? Why leadership? Why stepping up is a journey, not a jump? And what do the next steps actually look like? And let's recognize that district and even international roles are extensions of service, not promotions. Okay, so why does Toastmasters exist? Allow me to begin with a story. And it's not my story, but it's our story. I wasn't born a leader. They were all around me, though. In the community, at work, at school, leaders were everywhere. They were the heads of families, coaches of teams, business leaders, mentors, organizational decision makers. I admired these leaders. They influenced who I was and who I was becoming. Whatever they did professionally or how they became what they were, I aspired to walk in their footsteps. And so I committed myself to becoming one. Finally, it came to me. It wasn't just what leaders knew that enabled them to lead. They had a voice. They could tell their story. They could listen and answer. They didn't just accomplish, they communicated. So I set out to find my voice, learn to process information on my toes. I needed to learn to listen, learn to give feedback, and to accept it. I needed to organize, plan, deliver, follow up. I needed a place where all the ingredients were there and someone would guide me along the way. I found that place. I found a community of learners and the path to leadership. I am a leader, and I was made. That, my friends, is the Toastmasters brand statement, and I raise it often, not as marketing, but as positioning truth. This is why Toastmasters exists. This is why leadership matters here. I'm going to start by seeing if anyone's paying attention, and before we go any further, I'd love you to drop a word or a short phrase into the chat. What first brought you to Toastmasters? No pressure, just instinct. Single word is fine. What first brought you to Toastmasters? That's delivering speeches, I assume, Graham, or listening to wonderful stories? Speaking, public speaking, nerves, delivering. Curiosity about Toastmasters, or about what it means, about where leaders were made, improving presentation skills and socializing. Awesome. It's amazing how many stories you hear about people who met their future partners at Toastmasters. Not necessarily a good reason to join, but anything's possible. Do we notice something about all of those reasons? Very few people join Toastmasters because they want a title. They come because they want to grow. Curiosity. There's an image I keep coming back to when I think about leadership, especially in Toastmasters, and it's a staircase. Not a lift, not an escalator, a staircase. And the thing about a staircase is this: you rarely see the top when you're standing at the bottom. You see the next step, sometimes the one after that, and occasionally just a landing. Most of us didn't join Toastmasters knowing where it would lead. We didn't arrive with a 5-year plan for leadership. We arrived because we wanted to be a little clearer, a little braver, a little more confident than we were yesterday. And what Toastmasters quietly does, almost without us noticing, is place a step in front of us. A first speech, a role on the agenda, a question asked in table topics, a gentle nudge from someone saying, have you thought about leadership? Is rarely a lead. It's almost always steps. And here's the part I find reassuring. You don't need to know what's at the top of the stairs to take the next step. You just need enough light for the next one. Some people hesitate because they think leadership requires certainty. But in my experience, leadership is far more often about trust. Trust that growth happens as you move, not before. Every leader you admire once stood exactly where you are now, looking at a step, wondering if they were ready, and choosing to place a foot anyway. And Toastmasters is remarkably good at this. It doesn't shove you up the stairs. It doesn't demand you sprint. It simply asks gently and persistently, are you ready for the next step? So why leadership? Why step up? Especially when life is so incredibly busy. We don't lead because it's easy. We lead because someone else once did, and it made a difference. We lead because someone believed in us before we believed in ourselves. We lead because growth rarely happens in comfort, but always happens in community. Leadership in Toastmasters isn't about control. It's not about hierarchy. It's not about perfection. Leadership here is service in motion. It's saying, I care enough to help shape this space. I'm willing to hold the torch for a while. I'll leave the place better than I found it. Leadership has a quiet way of holding up a mirror and asking, who are you becoming? How do you respond under pressure? How do you serve when no one is watching? Okay, everyone's still awake? Another question in the chat again. What held you back the first time you were asked to lead? What held you back the first time you are asked to lead. Confidence, fear, fear of failure. Yep. Is there anyone here within the Toastmasters environment who's failed and were then criticized for that failure? Or were they actually all of a sudden surrounded by everyone trying to help? It's a unique environment, absolutely unique. Disbelief in self is so common. But here's the truth, and we rarely say it out loud. Most leaders didn't step up because they felt ready. They stepped up because the opportunity asked them to. It's about belonging and becoming. Some of you stepped into leadership because no one else did. Some of you were asked and said yes before you managed to talk yourself out of it. Some of you sensed a spark and decided to fan it into a flame. However you arrived here, let me say this very clearly. You belong here. Your leadership matters. Your voice matters. And your willingness to grow matters. Leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about creating space where others feel safe to speak, to try, to fail, and to rise again. That's what Toastmasters leadership does at its best. W. Edwards Deming once said, and people have heard me say this many times, it's not necessary to change. Survival is not mandatory. But we're not here to merely survive. We're here to thrive as individuals, as clubs, as a community of people committed to better listening, bolder speaking, and purposeful leadership. So let this session be more than information. Let it be orientation. Let it be renewal. And keep asking questions in the chat. Share your perspective. Support one another. Because leadership isn't about standing above others. It's about standing with them for a time. Welcome to this space. Welcome to the work of stepping up. And let's grow something extraordinary together. After all, this is where leaders are made. And when we say this is where leaders are made, we're not saying leadership starts here. Many of you are already leaders in your families, in your workplaces, in your clubs, and in your communities. Toastmasters doesn't replace that leadership. It refines it, stretches it, and then offers it somewhere else to be used. And for some, the next step on the staircase leads beyond the club. So let me briefly name what those next steps can look like, not as titles, but as forms of service. And remember, there isn't a role, policy, or process that doesn't come without documentation or a comprehensive handbook with timelines and responsibilities. Just check out the TI website. So that said, my high-level overview. Area directors. This is leadership close to the clubs. An area director serves a small group of clubs, usually 4 to 6. This role is about supporting club officers, helping clubs succeed, not policing them. It's about being a listener, a connector, and an advocate. If you enjoy mentoring, noticing patterns, and helping others solve problems without taking over, this is leadership at its most human and rational. You don't need all the answers. You need curiosity, care, and consistency. Division directors. This is leadership at scale. A division director steps back just enough to see the bigger picture. They support area directors. They coordinate contests and training. They help align effort across geography, culture, and circumstance. This is leadership that asks, how do we work together well? Where are people stretched? And how can we support them? What does success look like across many communities, not just one? It's less hands-on and more systems aware. And then we have the trio: stewardship of the district, district director, program quality director, and club growth director. These roles don't run Toastmasters. They hold the district in trust for the members. They focus on educational quality, sustainable growth, culture, alignment, and direction. This is leadership that balances vision with reality and people with process. It's not about being visible everywhere. It's about ensuring the conditions are right everywhere. And then there's the supporting district roles, leadership behind the scenes, just as important. These are the leaders who serve without a spotlight. The administration manager for governance, continuity, and institutional memory. Public relations manager, telling our story to the wider world. Finance manager, events, logistics, marketing, technology, education coordination. These roles suit people who lead through structure, clarity, and reliability. Different gifts, same purpose. But we also have beyond the district, leadership without borders. For some, the staircase continues even further. At the international level, we have regional advisors, international directors, international officers, all the way to international president. These leaders serve the global organization, shaping strategy, policy, and direction across cultures and continents. They don't leave their communities behind, they carry them with them. So hear this clearly. Stepping into district or even international leadership does not make you more important. It simply changes who you serve. And choosing not to take that step does not diminish your leadership in any way. This is not a ladder where some are above others. It's a staircase with many landings and many ways to serve. All right, my final prompt for the chat window. If you're willing to drop a word into chat, which step feels visible for you right now? Not the top, just the next one. What are you thinking might be the next step? Area director. It's an awesome role. Not going to share, Graham, is it? Division director. Excellent, Alex. It really is a difference between connection and service. Hopefully you've managed to get that from what I've said so far. Service leadership is absolutely what Toastmasters is about, but the group of people you're serving at any one time is what gets shaped. All right, I'm at red, which means I need to close. So that brings us right back to where we began. Leadership isn't about certainty. It isn't about titles. It isn't about knowing what's at the top of the stairs. It's about taking the next step with enough light, enough trust, and enough community to keep moving. So again, welcome to this space. Welcome to the work of stepping up. And let's grow something extraordinary together. After all, this is where leaders are made. Thank you very much, Alex.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. A few things that I forgot, my bad. I forgot to mention that Kevin has been walking a lot of the steps that he shared with us. So that staircase he's talking about is a very well-known path that he's been walking on, and I'm sure he's been mentoring a lot of people in the district as well. So it's been very inspirational to listen to you, Kevin, and I hope and I wish that more people are sharing the same, because every role that we do in Toastmasters has an impact on the community, from club up to people who've never been in Toastmasters before, and also, of course, to just keep that momentum going. There's something you mentioned in your in your speech that stays with me, and that was, it's not about taking a title, or it's not about moving on, or taking the whole space. It's about holding the torch for a while. And what a great reminder. Your speech was packed with metaphors and beautiful things that you shared, but that for a while is such a great reminder that we're here to make it better and then move on and then just watch others grow as well. So thank you very much for your great speech, and I look forward to now hearing more from Vijay. Vijay is our program quality director, and he will also have some interesting words for us. Can't wait to hear from you, Vijay.
Thank you so much, Alex. It's a fantastic introduction. Um, I don't know whether you're curious just sitting here in this room in this session, or you might be seeing this as a recorded video, sitting comfortably in your cozy chair. Whatever it is, the reason why you are here or seeing the video is you are a bit curious, and something inside you is calling you to step up, to become a leader, to put up your hand, but you are holding yourself back. Was a situation for me as well many years ago. So I'm with Toastmasters for past 15 years. But in the initial years, I never thought of putting up my hand because of the obvious reasons what we listed out over here. Fear, fear of failure, all those things, right? But feeling that I'm not ready yet. But someone tapped on my shoulder. Vijay, you should become consider the area director role. When I put up my hand for the area director role first time, the first thing what you would be saying when somebody is recommending you, or when you think to put up your hand for your area director or division director or trio roles, you'd be thinking, hang on, I don't know anything about this role. I don't know what is area director, what they do. I don't know what is division director means, what they do. How can I put up my hand? But that's the beauty of Toastmaster. I've been in corporate world for more than 24 years. If you want to become a project manager in a project, you need to get qualified to be a project manager, okay? An experience, certification, everything. Then you become a project manager. But in Toastmaster, what I have seen is you become a leader, and then you learn on the way how to be that leader. Okay, you become an area director, and then you will learn the nitty-gritties of what do you mean by area director. By the time you finish learning the area director, your term will be over. Okay, so that's the beauty of Toastmaster. So that's the reason why, even if you fail, if you stumble upon, there's people who will come around and help you. And for area directors, division directors, trio roles, there are trainings at the beginning of the year to teach you what this role means, what's the role expectation, how to perform the role. So it's a training, and then you can learn on the way. That's a good thing. When I started area director role, first year I failed miserably. I failed in first year, first time when I did the area director role. That was probably around 12 years ago. And then I wanted to do better. Okay, then I did the area director role second time, because this time I know how to do the role. So I did the second time. Now I got a hang of it. This is how area director role works. Now I got obsessed with that. I did third time. I was so obsessed, I did fourth time as well as an area director. And actually, I nominated myself for the fifth time, but someone stopped me. Oh, Vijay, that's enough. Got to think about the next one. Okay. So I went ahead for the division director role. Again, when I started, I didn't know what the role is. Even though I attended the district officer training to learn the role expectation, but it took 1 year for me to understand what is that role. By the time I finished my 1 year term in division director, I felt that I should do one more time in a better way. So I did second time the division director role, which means if you fail, that's still fine, and nobody is going to criticize you. That's the whole. This is a supportive environment. So I did the division director role twice, and then moved on to the club growth. Club growth one, I was not expecting. I was not ready, but my mentor, coaches helped me to go into that path. Then I put up my hand, nominated myself for club growth director. But that was a very good decision, because every time when I'm moving from one role to the next role, I could see my comfort zone is expanding. I'm becoming more and more comfortable with taking risks. So the area director role is kind of a scary, but I went ahead. And then division director role, a little bit more scarier, more riskier. I went ahead. By the time the CGD role, club growth director role, came 2 years ago, it's scary. It's a bit of commitment, time commitment, effort commitment. But still, by this time, I'm used to and I'm trained well in taking risk, doing scary things. So I put my hand up for the CGD role, went ahead with that. And now, after doing the roles couple of times, couple of years, you will kind of obsessed with taking risks comfortably. Okay, it's kind of a known risk or calculated risk. This, you know what to do, how to do all those things, but still you are ready to go ahead and take the risk. Then I put up my hand for the PQD role. So that's what I'm doing this year. From all these roles, the things I learned is three lessons, I would say. First thing is, you have to know your why you want to put up your hand. Okay? Because there are times you might feel low, there are times you will feel challenged. The strong reason, the why, that's the one will help you to bounce back. So that's the first important lesson I learned after all these years in volunteering. The second one is, Toastmaster has this milestones, the timelines, cutoff dates, and you have your own personal life, your business, your career path, Monday to Friday work, all those things. So you have to be really good with your time management and organizational skills. So you will learn that. You will learn by doing this role. So that's the second lesson I learned. And the third one is, being a leader. Being a leader means your team, if you're area director, the club officers would be looking for you to set the direction. If you're a division director, the area director will be looking for you to set the direction. Same with the trio roles. So that's a bit scary, because when the feeling that there are people looking up to you for the direction, that's a bit scary. But what I learned is, to become a leader, you need to have this skill of making decisions based on the available information, available data, and then taking action. So making decision and taking action, that's very important. So that's the third lesson I learned. The first one is your why. Second one is time management. Third one is uh, making decisions and taking actions. Those are the three lessons I learned from my experience. But it's a fun experience, I can see, and I could clearly see the difference in me, where before Toastmaster, before taking up all these roles, the most comfortable position for me in any room is the back corner behind the screen. I'm most comfortable, happiest person in that place. But now, after taking up all these roles, I can see I'm very comfortable speaking in front of people, taking risks. And I can see some of the people in this room, they are the one who mentored me, coached me to take up these roles. So I'm really happy for that, and I'm really thankful for those people who tapped on my shoulder to take up these roles. And that's pretty much what I want to share here as my experience. That personally helped me to grow in my life. Yeah. With that, I will hand over to Alex. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Vijay. It's been a journey for you, 15 years in Toastmasters, and about half of that in different leadership roles, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So how many times are you allowed to do an area director role if you're stopped at 5?
No, actually, I think it's the max is 2. Okay. There were situations, I think it was before COVID, there was a shortage, or there were some issues. The area directors, the existing area director pulled off. So they were looking for someone to step in very short notice. So I took that as an opportunity and continued. But there are rules and regulations in Toastmaster, how many times you're allowed to go as area director. Yeah.
Okay.
2.
2 times. And then
Yeah.
if you take a break, you can do it again?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So one example is Kevin. Kevin went all the way up to division directors, doing all the roles, and then immediate past, district director, and then immediate past district director, and then he's again becoming as a club president, club roles, and then area director now.
Okay, fair enough. So thank you for that clarification in case someone watches the video and they say, I would like to just be an area director for the rest of my Toastmasters journey.
That's not a correct example.
Exactly. You've been an exception on that. So thank you for sharing. If you want to step up, it looks like from Vijay's experience, you need to understand what is your why. And I think this is a very important question, but also it can be a bit difficult to answer because sometimes you go back into the first reason you stepped into Toastmasters. And we've noticed from the chat and from personal experience as well, we step in because we want to build up our own public speaking skills or just to be part of a group of a community. And then when someone is asking you, what is your why for a leadership role in a volunteering organization, then it might be a bit challenging to find it. But at the same time, maybe it's a good homework for everyone who's watching. Just do your own why, break it down, put it together, whatever you want to do. And since we're in a very intimate environment and we have a few people in here, I can see that we also have Sue Pedrick. We talked about the conference, and I noticed also that we have, let me see, we have Charlie Starrett. Do you want to say something about Charlie, Vijay?
Yes, I would like to welcome Charlie. Charlie is our district leadership chair who is conducting this election process. Okay, and he has his own committee, and Charlie is the right person. And Charlie is not only our district leadership chair, Charlie is a past international director. That's all the way up in the ladder. Okay. Uh,
Staircase.
Staircase. Yeah. So, so Charlie can answer any question, not only at district level roles, even if it is the international level roles, regional level roles. Charlie is the right person to contact, ask questions, and get support and coach. He's a great coach, great speaker. So he has his own committee for conducting this election process for this year. So let's welcome Charlie Starrett for this meeting. Thank you, Charlie.
Maybe I have some curiosity, Charlie, before we go into that, because in Kevin's speech, he mentioned something about taking a step at a time, and at some stage you may be a bit at the bottom and you can't see the top. I wonder, being an international director, could you say that you are so high up the top that you can't see the bottom?
I think what keeps your feet on the ground is that you have to be a member of a club, regardless of your leadership position, and that really is grounding. The fact that you're part of an everyday or every week or every fortnight organization is very good. And you don't become detached. That's certainly not the case. You know, when you go up the stairs, you still have this view of everything that you've done before, and you keep in touch with everything you've done before because it informs what you still do and what you're doing now. And to go back to Vijay's point about my why, it's extraordinary, really, when you look back and you kind of think in a moment, what was my why? And what I realized was that when I started doing these leadership roles out of my club, so I'd done secretary and president in the club, and then I felt, oh, it was area governor then, but area director, that sounds interesting. I get to look after 4 clubs. Not sure I could do that. But the one thing that got me hooked in is because my reason for joining Toastmasters was to improve my speaking, my public speaking, because I had to speak to lots of people all of a sudden. So I needed to go along and find out how good I was or how bad I was. And I realized that there was this thing called area visits, where you go and visit different clubs. You know, all the area directors coming and all the rest of it. So you've got all these opportunities to go and speak. And it's not only speak, but you had to give I had like an inspirational message to people that you don't know. Probably you've never seen and they've never seen you before. And so you can get evaluated as well. So you can move along, as it was then, the competent communicator and the advanced communicator manuals quite quickly. So this was very much my why. I thought, well, if I'm doing the leadership roles and I'm learning about leadership, at the same time, I'm developing my communication skills. That was a huge why. And I would just sort of lay that out on the table for anyone that hasn't realized that. You step up to leadership positions, you get so many opportunities to speak in audiences that you don't know. And this is getting out of your comfort zone. It's getting out of your club. Your club is your comfort zone, by the way. You need to get out of it. And that will really ramp up your progress. That was my why. And then my next why was not someone tapping me on the shoulder. It was seeing it was an international director who came to visit, Mohammed Murad. And he spoke about his leadership journey almost like the same way, like a ladder. And he really inspired me to think about aspiring to, district leadership. And I was at a personal development weekend when we were asked to list down all of the things that in the years that we had left, the active years that we had left, all these things that would give us joy to experience. And I remember writing down district director. Now, I don't know why that would came up, but it came up really strongly because after writing down about 50 things, could be about traveling places or driving a BMW because how it made you feel, all that sort of stuff. We had to choose 4 things, and district director made the cut, and then we had to put a date on it. And we had to write it like, I am so happy and grateful that I am district director on or before July the 1st, 2012, which it was then. This was 2009 that I was writing it. I hadn't even thought about getting onto the trio ladder at that stage. So I write that down, I reading it every day, every morning, every night. And I thought I better work out how to get there. And so my why then was a kind of personal challenge to experience what it was like to be kind of in charge of 3,000 people, which it was District 69 I was a part of up in Queensland and Papua New Guinea. And so that was my motivation. I wanted to take my leadership wider. I could never do that in my work. But I thought, let's experience what this is like. And so that's what I decided to do. Now, the next bit of the journey is how on earth did I get into the international director? That came because of a tap on the shoulder. So I'd been the immediate past district director, and thinking, oh, this is nice. I've achieved my goal. One thing I will tell you that is, and I'm sure you know this anyway, but when you achieve a goal that is, kind of really big, always set another one. Don't just think, that's it, that's nice, I've done it. Like becoming a DTM. Don't just become a DTM, please, and sit back and think, oh, I'm a great speaker now, I'm a great communicator, maybe some leadership thrown in there as well. Please, always treat that as another step, on the staircase. DTM is a landing, it's not destination. And the same with any of these roles, they're not destinations, they're all landings. And so I was tapped on the shoulder because I had another goal for myself. So anyway, tapped on the shoulder and decided, okay, yes, I'll answer it, and went for it, and became international director and sat on the board for 2 years. And the reason it's 2 years is because one of the primary roles of leaders anywhere, and any leader is listening now in your work or whatever, the most important thing is developing leadership in others. That's your most important role. It's not about you. It's not about the hat you wear. It's not about your ego. It's developing leadership in others. Why? Because you are leaving a legacy. There's no point if you take all of the power and influence on yourself and then once you're gone, that's it. It's just fallen apart. It doesn't work. So always think about how can I develop leadership in others. That's a really important thing. So we only sit there for 2 years on the board. because we needed other people to experience that as well. This is what Toastmasters is so good at, which is why you don't sit on the area director role for too long, or any role for too long. You've got to help other people come in and experience it. So that's a little story of my own leadership journey. I've had so many speaking experiences that has been so valuable, and I would really encourage people, if you really want to develop your speaking, please take on these leadership roles and take on another step, another stair every year. That's all I set myself a target. I've just remembered that. Every year I said at the end of the year, what do I want to do next year that would take me one more stair, one more step higher? That's all you have to do, and you can end up on the board. I mean, that wasn't planned at the beginning, but there you go. I'm now district leadership chair. I have a committee. We're assessing people for division directors and for the trio roles. I've spoken to several people already, some of whose faces I see on the screen. And I think it's just I mean, I'm so encouraged when people say, I want to put my hand up to challenge myself, one more stair. It just motivates me so much. And I'm here to help people. So if people need mentoring, even on an ad hoc basis, I'm here to be that person that you can sound things off against. And because I've had a lot of experience in Toastmasters, and I know the inner workings. I'll just end on a metaphor for me. When I joined Toastmasters, every time I moved up into a different level to challenge myself more, it was like peeling a layer of an onion. Club president peeling a layer. I used to think, oh, Toastmasters, the whole meeting is run by people in the US. Then you realize there's an executive in the club that runs it. And then you go to area, and then you get, oh, there's another layer there, which I didn't see. And so on. And all the way up, even as international director, I wasn't at the center of the onion. I realized there were more layers that I needed to peel to get right to the center, which very, very few people do. But, I get close enough. I would encourage anyone who's got in the back of their mind, what can I do to challenge myself and make myself, fresh again in Toastmasters in this journey for this coming year, or even for future years. If you've just joined Toastmasters a few months ago, please be inspired and think there is this wonderful organization that doesn't demand that you have the qualifications for the job, that lets you find out on the job that, and honestly, about 6 months into the job, you finally worked out what the job is and what you have to do. And then it's 6 months of kind of, oh, well, now I know finally what I have to do. That's the way it works for any role. I mean, I know as international director, it took me a year to get into the role. And the second year was mentoring somebody else who had just come onto the board. So this is how Toastmasters work. So we don't have failure. We have challenges. We have opportunities to grow, opportunities to succeed. So don't listen to that inner voice that says you can't do this. Who are you to step up and think you're a leader? Don't listen to those things, because they can sideline you and you take yourself out of the picture. So that's pretty much what I'd like to say to the people at this meeting. And thank you, Alex, and Vijay, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Charlie. It's a great experience that you have, and I'm so grateful that we got to hear more about your experience today. And I hope everyone in the room is inspired. Can I get a bit of love in the chat or in the screen? Yes. Awesome. And I know that there is a deadline for the applications. What's the deadline?
15th of February.
And
next Sunday week.
One more week. So we're trying to get this out as soon as possible for people to get yet another reminder that it's a great opportunity to take. I was listening to you, and as I was listening, I had a few questions. First, on that onion that we keep peeling. I hope nobody gets to cry at the end of it.
Yeah.
I hope it's more of a discovery journey than it's a cry
there were some
at the end.
There have been some tears along the way.
There has been. Only the ones that make you better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Healing tears.
Yes. Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Charlie. I'm going to open up the space now for questions. We have Vijay, we have Charlie, we have Kevin. Please, if you have any questions, let us know. And actually, they can just be curiosities. They don't have to be targeted questions because it's an open conversation that we're trying to have. So, like I said, it's an intimate group, no judgment, no fear, no problems. Let's hear the questions.
Maybe I will start for the people who are here or people watching in the recorded video who is not aware of the process. Charlie, would you be able to explain what is the high level process? So if I want to apply for nominate myself for an area director or division director role, how that works? Like what I need to do, what will happen if I put an application form?
Yeah. Just very briefly, a couple of messages have gone out to all people in District 73. Attached to that message, and I'll send another one out. There's a couple of documents in there, a couple of PDFs. You just need to fill out your details in there and anything that it asks for in there and email it back to me. And that's the beginning of the process. So the next step is that after the cutoff date, which is the 15th of February, to remind you, myself and my committee will have a look at who has applied for which roles. And they start with district director and then program quality director and then club growth director. So the trio, all of those roles, we look at those. And then we look at the 6 division directors. Basically, we're looking at them to make sure that they're all eligible. They meet the eligibility criteria, and they're spelled out in that latest email. And so once you've put your nomination in, you can nominate yourself. You don't have to have someone to nominate for you. Nominate yourself. You send it to me. That's the start of the process. We then have a look at it, make sure you're eligible, and then we will ask you to be available for a chat. We call it an interview, but it's not like a work interview or anything. It's just a conversation that we like to have to get to know you a bit better. So it's not a threatening thing. So that's the process. And as a result of all of this, we then, as a committee, and I do it really, but we write a little report for the district director for the district council meeting in May. And that's basically the entire process. You get informed as to whether you are a nominated candidate. We've decided, yes, you are a nominated candidate. If for some reason you're not, this is very rare, but it does happen. If for some reason you don't become a nominated candidate, you still have the right to stand from the floor at the election at the district council meeting. So this is the process. It sounds a bit formal, but it's just a matter of ticking things off. It's like what it's like for the speech contest. You've got a speaker's eligibility and all that sort of stuff. If you got to an international speech, have you done levels 1 and 2 of pathways? In the old system, it was 6 speeches. So we just need to be sure that those things are ticked off. So basically, it's put your application in, and please, if you even have a slightest thought about, let me just see what this is like. Let me challenge myself. I would urge you to put an application in, to put your nomination in. Thank you, Vijay.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can see there is a question in the chat box from Paul Ross. Are there any prerequisites? You're on mute, Charlie.
What was the question again?
In the chat box, I can see, are there prerequisites?
Yes. Let me quickly switch screens. And I will read those out to you. One here. Yeah, let me find them. Can you just quickly discuss something else at the moment, Vijay? I'll read them out to you.
No worries. Specifically, Paul, there are different prerequisites based on which role you are applying for. So there's area director role, there's a different prerequisites, and division director roles, different set of conditions, and then the trio role. Anyway, so while we are waiting for Charlie to come back, I can see other experienced Toastmasters as well. I can see Sue on the screen. Sue, don't mistake me that I'm putting you on the spot. Do you, well, you are happy to be on the spot, okay? So, do you want to add anything in this process?
I think
Yeah.
being active is really important. So not only saying you'll do the role, but actually being immersed in it. So try and make sure you attend your district council meetings if you're looking to become an area council meetings if you're looking to become an area director, so that you're aware of what information is discussed and how you can support your area director. So if you are a president or a VPE, you go to the area council meetings, and that way you get to understand things. And I'm pretty sure that's one of the prerequisites to have attended an area council meeting to be an area director. So, and that means you've either been a president or a VPE, and I think there's one other role as well. But I was an area director twice. Area director once, and then division director twice. And then I stepped into the program quality director and then district director. At that stage, there were a couple of roles empty in the district, and it was really good to embrace something that I was really passionate about at the time with education and training, and I was heavily involved with the training in South Australia. So a great opportunity to expand my leadership skills within that program quality director role and then the district director. So I never did the club growth director role because there were a few empty roles at the time. But I would recommend keep working your way through all of the roles, because every role has something unique and something really incredibly special that you will pick up that you won't get in another role. You'll skirt around the edges of it, but when you're actually doing the role, you pick up so much more. So I'd say do as many roles as you can to give you that backbone, that basis to keep moving forward. And start at club level. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that, Sue. And Charlie, you have the information ready now?
Yes. Sorry, I missed that message from Paul. Still can't find it. I presume you're looking at division directors, Paul. If not, please correct me. So I'll just quickly read out the division directors, which is just on my screen. Here we go. So division directors. You must have served at least 6 consecutive months as a member of district council. The district council is made up of club presidents, vice presidents of education, and district executive committee members. So basically, that's the criteria for division directors. If you're interested in club growth director, must have served at least 6 consecutive months as club president and at least 12 consecutive months as program quality director, club growth director, division director, and area director, or a combination of these. So really, it's not too onerous. And as I say, I really, I look forward to seeing nominations that coming in from anybody who. Seriously, and if you're not even sure about whether you can nominate anyway. Do it, because there is a process. You won't fall through the gap. So I'm just here to urge people to step up on that staircase that Kevin mentioned earlier.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for that, Charlie. There's also an email from Charlie sent to all the district members on 2nd of February. The email subject is call for nominations for district leader positions. That email has got all the links and information, how to apply, what the documents, everything. So that's sent on 2nd of February. Subject call for nominations for district leader positions. There's a question from Nilupa. Kevin, would you be able to answer that question? The question is, For someone thinking of a role like area director for the first time, will it be too much to do the club executive role as well at the same time?
That's kind of how long's a ball of string type of question. The real challenge is about your time as much as anything else. So I'll turn around and say there was a point when I was area director and a member of 10 clubs, active member of 10 clubs. There were days when I would attend 3 meetings in a day because I was able to. And that was what was driving me for that year. It was a crazy year, but that was what I found time for, and that's what inspired me, and I felt good doing it. So, whether or not you can do both well is really a matter of your time and where you draw your energy from. If your club is, say, the club that you first joined, it's your home club, it's the one that you support consistently, and it runs really well, and that's actually in the area that you're about to be area director for, then you've kind of made it a little bit easier for yourself to be able to do it. It may not be as challenging a role, but it's a great way to step into the role and discover it and see where it leads you. But it's impossible to say whether doing one thing and another will cause a problem for you, because I have no idea where your workload lies or what gives you energy. If you wanted to have a chat about that and actually just have a one-on-one chat over a Zoom or something like that to talk about where you're at and what you're doing and what that might mean, I would be more than happy to do that. Always happy to talk about people that are thinking about leadership and where that leads. The conversation around this idea of it being a staircase, there are balconies and there are landings, and we all turn around and occupy different space at different times. And it's a beautiful experience to see different people at different levels with different levels of experience. I would never have thought that as international director, the international president rather, he would take the time to have a private call with me when I'd wished his son a happy birthday. The connections you make are incredible within this organization, and you're just starting when you start thinking, oh, I'll go outside my club and I'll do an area director. The world is so vast and so open to supporting you to be able to achieve. There's hardly a place in the world you can't go for a week and not discover a Toastmasters club that would welcome you there. It's the biggest network you can possibly imagine for personal growth. Does that answer your question, or just raise even more?
Sort of answered my question, but thank you for that.
Yeah, toastmasterbigkev@gmail.com. Yep, message me. More than happy to have a chat.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kevin. And Nilupa, I hope you've gotten your answer, and you just got a free mentor so you might as well just grab that opportunity now. I don't think that's available for a long time. So I'm gonna do a bit of a sales pitch. You have about 10 minutes. Otherwise, I'll take it off the table. So thank you, Kevin. That's very generous of you. I would like now to maybe ask for some closing remarks from Vijay, and with that, I can allow everyone to take the Friday off.
So when you decided to sacrifice your Friday for this meeting, that's a criteria for you to become a district officer. Okay, and when I used to receive email from Kevin on early morning 2 o'clock, early morning 3 o'clock, I see what's going on. So after years rolled on, now I started sending emails at early morning 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. People are asking me, Vijay, what's going on? Okay, so now it's fun. You will fall in love with that. It's kind of a the supportive people around you, you started enjoying that. That's what I can see. Janet asked a question in the chat box. Janet was area governor in 1998 in ACT, and how has the role changed since then? Anyone wants to answer to that question?
It's now called area director.
The name changed.
No, so a lot more tools have been added to be able to help you. So it's now an online form which helps you do the area visit. And because clubs now have to do success plans, which are also available to you, you have a lot more visibility without the club exec necessarily engaging straight away. And a lot of it is focused now around what we used to do traditionally as moments of truth. So they're following, you know, what they preach, they eat, and we're now doing it in that context. So it's considerably easier if you're happy with the whole technology side of things and getting into and being able to see what it is that's happening. And there's a lot more accountability in terms of what TI are looking at in terms of what the clubs are doing, that organic nature of the club success plan, as opposed to this piece of paper that used to just sit in a drawer, maybe, if the club exec had a look at it. So it's a bit easier in that context. And of course, because Zoom is so prevalent now, if your area is geographically challenged, it's a lot easier now to meet with the rest of your area directors than it used to be, and to be able to keep in touch. The same at the district level. You know, if you can't make district officer training tomorrow, you know, it's going to be made available for you, that kind of stuff. It's just a lot easier in terms of the stuff that Alex does in recording what it is that gets said and where it is, and then, you know, Graham helping with indexing and making sure that our YouTube channel is useful for people to be able to find information they want. I could say it's never been easier, but it's also never been more challenging in terms of how we inspire and how we keep people interested, and recognizing the fact that, you know, everybody has a worth in terms of what they have to be able to offer and to serve. And quite often that's been forgotten or lost. And our ability to be able to help people see that and to be able to recognize what it is that Toastmasters can give them, that's the value, that's the service. That's, you know, again, what Charlie was talking about. When we become, when we lose our fear, then we lose our care. We lose our sense of care. If we get up in front of people and we deliver our message and we don't care how it's received, then we've lost our way.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that, Kevin. And if you have, we are running past the time now, it's 10 minutes past. So if you have any questions, or if you're watching in the video recording, if you got some questions, you can email to District Leadership Committee Chair. The email ID is DLC Chair, District Leadership Committee Chair, dlcchair@d73toastmasters.org. That goes to Charlie, and Charlie can respond back to any queries regarding becoming a district officer. That's for today, and really appreciate Alex for organizing such very informative, useful educational sessions for our district. Thanks, Alex. And Graham for all the technology support. Any questions on technology, Graham is there for us. And Charlie, Kevin, Sue for sharing all your wisdom. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks. Well done.
Thank you, everyone.